Welcome to the North Shore 9 podcast, episode number 136, part of the Pod Hub Network. I am Ryan Alexander. Along with me, as always, is Anthony DiNardo. DiNardo, what is up?
NFL playoffs.
Playoffs?
How about them Bears, though?
How about them Bears?
Ouch. Ouch.
Did I miss something on Twitter?
No?
No.
Just the Bears missing the field goal?
Doink.
I guess if you missed it on TV, but I know you didn't. You were watching.
I did see it, yes. I just didn't think it was that big of a deal.
No, I mean, it was kind of entertaining.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't know. I feel like you haven't watched too much NFL these days.
Well, I kind of don't, but that's mainly because I work on Sundays now.
Did you work today?
I did.
Oh, there you go.
But I saw that end of that game.
That was probably the most exciting game of this weekend. The playoffs kind of stunk this week.
Yeah, I stopped watching yesterday.
Yeah, there were some bad games.
Yeah,
we'll see about next week.
I figured that Colts and Texas game was going to be a lot better than that, but it was not.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I guess the Dallas-Seattle game was pretty good for a while, but everything's low scoring and what have you. It's the playoffs.
Sure.
Speaking of not the playoffs, baseball. The Pirates, forget free agents, DiNardo. The Pirates are just filling up that front office and coaching staff.
I mean, with that said, right, because there's a lot of, going back and forth. Like, all the Cubs are doing, well, actually, the Cubs aren't doing anything. But the Reds are doing this, the Cardinals are doing that, and the Pirates, picked up these guys, the Ecksteins.
Yeah, the X
And then Bannister back. But in my head, before even getting into it too deep, in my head, is this almost like even better than signing some, I mean, of course, maybe not like a Machado, like not a big-time player.
I'd rather sign Machado, yes.
I would say, let's say this. Are these three signings more important than like the Chisenhall signing?
I mean, they could be. I guess it's look. I mean, we're going to get into it here, but they're positive. They're positive moves, and I wouldn't say they're moves. They're not free agent signings. These guys aren't going to play, but they are going to play a big role.
I don't know. Bannister might. I heard he can play short.
Right. Hey, what's that batting average?
He's 1,000.
There it is.
He is a career 1,000 hitter.
There it is. So
he has not seen a pitch that he can't hit.
But no, these guys are going to play big roles in the front office. And I mean, obviously Rick is the hitting coach, so he's going to be, on the field in the dugout and everything with the team. But the Pirates are, we've gone back from, 2013 and 14 when the Pirates were shifting, everywhere, and they were kind of on the forefront of all these, at least the defensive shiftings and some of the things around baseball that were changing at the time. And I feel like we've lost that in the past couple of years. Like, we're behind.
Yep.
And, we see it with the pitching with Garrett Cole leaving, and all of a sudden it's like slider, curveball, off-speed pitch and everything. All of a sudden they're Cy Young winner. Well, not winner, but Cy Young candidate. So, yeah, I feel like we fell behind in that category, and now these pickups starting to feel a little better about it.
Same, man. I mean, let's get down to it. Rick and David Eckstein, which is funny. I mean, seeing two brothers get signed like in the same year on like an organization,
right?
And then we brought our old friend back in Bannister. Now, I really, we talked about obviously the first Eckstein, Rick, when he got signed as a hitting coach, and how much we liked it because basically he was very analytical, but as well traditional. He plays both sides of the fence, if you may. But he's also coming from outside the organization, right? And that was one thing that was like eye-opening for us. Like, the Pirates didn't just settle on finding like some internal replacement to bring up with the same philosophies. They went out, got something different, and then they bring in his brother yesterday, and then today they get Bannister, who was from the organization but was the manager for the Rangers for 4 years, Ryan.
Right.
So they get two like fresh faces, a familiar face, but who has, I guess, some outside influences the past few years. And that's why I really enjoy these, because I mean, I think Bannister's well respected among MLB. I mean, he was signed as to the Rangers to be their manager. He's there for 4 years. He had a winning record, 2 divisions. Like he had success there. Obviously, they weren't in a position to succeed this year, so time's up, and I get it. But like he is well respected. He comes back, but he had he gained some new knowledge from another organization and can bring that to the Pirates. I love it.
I want to start with David NS9 though. Like, do you think so? Rick, we hired Rick a couple weeks ago as the hitting coach. Like, I feel like they were sitting around at Christmas, and David's like, "Man, are you gonna get me a job? Like, come on, talk to somebody there. Get me in there." So, like, I feel like
maybe it's the opposite.
He gets hired.
Maybe Rick looked at David. He's like, "I'm tired of just sitting around doing nothing. Get out there and do something with your life."
Yeah, maybe he's like, you know what?
Maybe he was a reference.
Let me
maybe
call
he got
up
him
Neil
in
and see if I can get you in. Yeah, David's just like hanging out on the couch, eating ice cream,
just feeding off of Rick. You
right.
know?
And he's like, "I'm tired of you sleep. I'm tired of you living on my couch for months."
Right.
No. So
get your own home so you can open up your damn presents yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, now we had Rick, and now we got David. We got 2 X factors, Donardo. I mean, and it's kind of weird. So Rick is going to be obviously on in the dugout with the team, but David and Bannister getting signed to they're basically special assistants to baseball operations. Which, I mean, it's just a title, but it's like, what does that mean? And
it's a very undefined role right now.
And I think we're seeing a lot of that around baseball. I mean, a lot of guys are getting hired. Bloggers are getting hired. Donardo, fanboy bloggers are getting hired. And you don't really know what they're doing. Like, they're just hired or they have a title, but you don't really know what the role is. But I think, for the most part, I think they're mainly going to be in the front office, but they're also going to be, I don't know, I don't think you'll be seeing Bannister in the dugout very much, but I think they're going to be behind the scenes, but they're going to be also in the clubhouse, like, interacting with the team and kind of being that liaison between the front office and the team. So, the actual players.
So you say Bannister won't be in the dugout.
Well, until
Hurdle
gets fired
or yet?
I was going to say
until
Hurdle gets fired.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at this too. I mean, it's a good baseball mind. It's a good person to have in your front office.
Right.
But just in case you might need someone to come replace Hurdle one day. It's like you got your boy Banny back. And that's why I like it, because, I mean, again, he's a great baseball mind. He's familiar. He's had success with the Rangers. Like, he comes back. He brings a new element to the team, the front office, the club, everything. Like, I like that. I think it's important. But don't you kind of feel this might put some, like, good pressure on Clint Hurdle?
Yes.
Because he's right there, and he was pretty much being groomed before he went to the Rangers.
Yep.
So you got some guy right there that's willing, I'm sure, and ready to take that spot if and when called upon. So maybe it's time to tighten up. And if he doesn't, I'm comfortable now with getting, Bannister. Where last year we were talking about, firing Hurdle at the halfway point and just rolling with, what's his name now? I don't remember.
See, you already forgot. You already forgot
the guy that they've been grooming now.
You're thinking of Tom Prince.
Yeah, Prince. Yeah. We're like, let's just roll a Prince, see what he has, and if he doesn't have it, then he go out this, off season to get a new manager. But I'm comfortable now. If nothing works out with Hurdle and they want to replace him, I'm comfortable with Bannister taking over.
Yeah, and now like people, Pirate fans, they know Bannister, they know the name. So he comes in, and we're going to be hearing as soon as like Hurdle makes a bad decision, it's going to be like, oh, get rid of him and put Bannister in. Because before it was always get rid of Hurdle, but it was like, okay, well, what's the next step? Like, who are you going to get? Nobody really had an answer. Well, now it's going to be Bannister, so everyone's just going to be feeding that. But I hear you.
Maybe they can get Mike McCarthy. I heard he's available.
Right. But I hear you, like, it makes sense. Like, yeah, it would put pressure on. You have a guy that just did it with the Rangers, had success, and he's in the front office. He's right there. Plus, he has like you said, he's got a familiarity with the Pirates. He's been here before. And really, Donardo, go back to 2011, like, the Pirates manager job basically came down to Hurdle and Bannister. Like, that was kind of the main 2 options. And, Hurdle got the job. And I think Bannister, I don't think he was the bench coach in 2010, but I don't think he had like some other role in 2011 with us. But it's like he was still here. But yeah, it basically came down between those 2. And here we are 7 years later with,
we're back.
The same 2 guys. So it's interesting. And it does. I think it does put a little, even if Hurdle doesn't think so, I think it does put, some kind of pressure on Hurdle where it's like, hey, we have another guy that we're comfortable to roll with and brought him in here. But like you said, Bannister he's well respected around the league. He's gone off to another organization, had success. He's come back. He's, more of an analytical guy. And you add him, and David NS9 in there, and it's like, yeah, I like where this is going. And hopefully, it's a thing about trying to basically assess how these guys are doing. It's tough to, because you don't know like who's coming up with what in the in the front office and behind the scenes and stuff. So, but I think that we'll be seeing some maybe some creative things or some new things with bullpenning, and who knows with the opener and stuff like that. But who knows?
Or maybe
where they
something
go with this.
even different that we don't know about yet.
That's what I mean. Like stuff that comes
great,
up that you don't even know.
Right. Tyler, all this talk about the Rays and then them creating the opener. Maybe this year's the year of the Pirates. They can do something that MLB's talking about that everyone hates until October when they're using it in the playoffs.
Right.
Right.
No, I'm with you there. But no, it was funny because it was like all off season. Like Bannister was available because he got, he was fired by the Rangers, which, like you said, the Rangers last year were a disaster. I mean, they weren't. At that point, they weren't going anywhere. They were kind of in a rebuild, but they're not doing it very well. But so he gets fired, and he was available, so everybody played the get rid of Hurdle and get Bannister in here. But they did bring him back, and I mean, it's not like I wouldn't say this is like some signing the Pirates. Like, oh, we got a big coup, like we stole Bannister from another team. Like, there's only so many manager jobs around. Bannister was just fired. By the Rangers. So he was out there. So, him coming back to the Pirates makes sense in a different role. Kind of something similar to what he had back in 2011. It makes sense. And I don't think, like there was that many other jobs open. I'm trying to think right now. Is there any other teams that still haven't hired a manager? I mean, there was only a couple firings.
I mean, at this point, no, but yeah. I know the Orioles were probably still had a vacancy when he was, out there.
Yeah. So, but that's, I mean,
regardless.
So there's only so many jobs at that point. And a lot of these guys, once you kind of get in because you know somebody, and then once you're up and then like you get fired, it's kind of like, where do you go from now? Because there's only so many jobs and people can't get you in. But so he stumbles back with the Pirates, and
yeah.
And I think it's a good thing.
Like, we're speculating this whole, managerial thing. We're speculating that he comes in here and he's this, and, he's like awaiting to become a manager, but maybe that's a life that he's over with too. Like, maybe he wants to be in like the GM of the front office world,
right.
And this is why. Let me go back to somewhere it's familiar. I know they can use me, so go back to the Pirates and start my new life in that aspect. So I mean, again, it's all speculation, but I'm good knowing that he's back. That's for sure.
Yep. Like, so I'm just looking at some of the comments on MLB Trade Rumors, and somebody said it's nice to have a better in-house option than Tom Prince. And there you go. I mean, it is true, because Prince was like the guy being groomed supposedly, but yeah, here we kind of have a better option.
Like, it's an unknown, so I guess it's easy to say, but we don't technically know. But at the same sense, also it's nice to know what you have than to not know what you have.
Right.
I mean, we don't know. Prince could be a genius, and he's just sitting there. But we know what we have in Bannister, and we're comfortable with it.
That's why it does, like...
I mean, it's like the prospect and the veteran, in a sense, Yeah,
it irks me when you say, like, oh, Hurdle needs to go or Tomlin needs to go. Like, and somebody comes back with the response of, well, you don't know how... that could be, careful what you wish for. Who would you go get? It could be a disaster. Like, to me, that's like it's a lazy take, because it's like, you don't know. Like, you could go get some younger unknown guy, like you said, like Tom Prince or even Bannister or even other guys in there. Like, you don't know what they are. That could be the next guru, or then, the next, I don't know. I would say, like...
Yeah, but I mean, you got to understand the risk in that as well.
Right, there is a risk in it. But at the same time, never making the move and just rolling with what you have also isn't necessarily, like, going to work out in the end.
Right. I mean, I guess it just comes down to, I mean, at what point do you just feel like it's time? I mean, if you're, and that's, I mean, I think it's a great topic you're bringing up, with Tom, especially at this point in time. But, before all this, I was on the side. I'm not big in football. I mean, don't take what I'm saying for anything, but just my point of view as